In this recording, I'm going to be talking about fixed signs. In the last recording, we talked about cardinal signs. Um, so the focus this time around would be on the fixed signs, and those are Taurus, Leo, fire, and then what were the other two? So Taurus, Leo, Aquarius, and Scorpio. Yes. So um, all the signs are kind of grouped by element, and they're also grouped by qualities. So um, within the qualities, basically, all the elements are represented. So within the cardinal signs, within the fixed signs, and within the mutable signs, you'll have all four elements represented there. So the same applies here as well. Within the fixed quality, you have Taurus, which is earth, and then you have Aquarius, which is air, and then you have Leo, which is fire, and then you have Scorpio, which is water. Um, and they're, of course, very different because elementally they're different from each other. So there are definitely things that stand out individually about them, but there's some things that they all have in common in in their vibration or in their quality being fixed, you know? Um, so they have a little bit of similarities, but of course, these similarities may be expressed like a little bit different due to their elemental vibrations. Yeah, so this fixation is expressed in Aquarius people maybe through because Aquarius is like a mental sign, so maybe this fixation is maybe more mental. So they may maybe how should I put this? Like they may be like very fixated on their opinions, for example, or their views on life, or their um ideas about something, whatever that has to do with the mind. So if they have a certain view about something, they might not be as maybe flexible as a Gemini or as flexible as a Libra, for example. They might be a little bit more fixated on their ideas, maybe thinking that their ideas, are like the way of doing thing is the right way, and any other way maybe is not the right way to do it. A little bit of that complex. Um, so, but that's not like to say that that's a bad thing or that it's a good thing. It's just like a trait, that they might have. But it's usually more of like a mental fixation, because that's their greatest strength. Whereas with Taurus, for example, that's like an earth sign. Their fixation might be on things that has to do with practicality, like physically how they do things, like their habits, for example. It could be like a Taurus person might tell you that no, every day at 6 o'clock I go to the gym, and that's just how it is, and that is a routine that I cannot change. I cannot change that. That's just how I've always done it, and it has always worked for me. You have to adapt to my schedule, something like that. So Taurus kind of have that fixation that's grounded within the body, within the physical plane, within the material realm. They might even maybe be a little bit like hoarders, or hold on to material things or possessions a little bit also. So that's the nature of their fixation, kind of. And Leos, their fixation is expressed through the fire element. So they're a little bit like, they want to have all the attention maybe, and they want to, if somebody else is threatening to get in the spotlight, they might feel maybe easily threatened, because they feel like their position is being challenged, so they might be like uh you know resistant, to people challenging their position, because they want to have that, admiration and that adoration all to themselves. They just want to be the only ones in the spotlight, the center of attention. So their fixation, in a way, is kind of rooted in the fire element in that sense. And with Scorpios, which is a water sign, their fixation is a little bit more within the feelings and emotions. So it could be if maybe, for example, if a Scorpio is in a certain mood or a certain emotional vibration, it might be difficult, to change their emotion or their mood. They might get too stuck in that feeling, kind of like brooding. If maybe they have experienced some disappointing experience or something didn't go so well or it upset them emotionally, they can get a little bit stuck in that, emotional space. And also one other way to look at it is also that they might, if, sorry, so if they are, how should I say this? Like if they're used to a certain emotional, let's say, environment. Maybe they are loners or like spending time alone or by themselves, like most Scorpios probably would do because they're also very private people. It might be difficult to get them out of that space, you know because that's their emotional safety. That's where their fixation is. So things that are outside of that emotional comfort, it kind of threatens them in the same way like the Leo wants to be the center of attention. So if you threaten to lock them somewhere else where they are not the center of attention, then they become fixated on trying to push you away, like, no, this is my stage, I am staying here. So it's kind of like that. So that's how their fixation is. But on a more practical, worldly way of looking at it, also fixed signs are kind of the doers, of the zodiac signs. Like I was talking about how the cardinal signs are the starters, the initiators, but then most often than not, they lack the consistency. And the fixed signs, they have that consistency in large amounts, So for them, they're the workhorses pretty much of the zodiac signs, literally. Like Taurus is known for their physical stamina, you know. Aquarius are known for their humanitarian traits, relentless, to sort of like bring about awareness and on humanitarian things and, things of that nature. Maybe Aquarius might not be the type of person who's going to go on the street and protest, like I mentioned it with how Libras maybe might do that in a previous recording of mine. But Aquarius, they might do it like in a sort of a backhanded way, like in behind the scenes kind of way, maybe make some donations to some organizations, things of that nature. Um, so they're doers in that sense. Um, and very consistent. Like the fixed signs are very consistent. I think they're also looked at as more dependable, uh, and also reliable and also trustworthy, because they just have that more consistent energy. Their energy is just more consistent. Um, yeah. I also remember in a previous recording I talked about, for example, Leo. I made the analogy of Leo being sort of like the bonfire that's just like fixed and it's just there and it's just burning, this bright fire, and it's just burning. It's consistent, in that burning for as long as you continue to feed it wood, it just burns and burns and burns. So there's consistency there. So yeah, and that's definitely one of the strengths with the fixed signs is that they're mostly doers. They're the ones who will really, really get the idea, the project going once the cardinal signs have initiated it. Um, yeah, but that's not to say that fixed signs do not have cardinal qualities within them. Again, it depends on the full natal chart. You might have some cardinal qualities more than you have fixed qualities, or you might be more of a fixed person than you are cardinal. So then you become more of a doer, and that's fine. Like all of these things are interconnected, and they feed off of each other pretty much. So yeah, I think that's what comes to mind when I think about fixed signs. Yeah, yeah, definitely practical. Yeah, and they're kind of also like the middle of the season, So it's a safe energy, like usually like the start of something is always um rough, it's always hard. Like if you're moving to a new place or if you're starting a new business or new venture, it's always tough because you just don't know like what's gonna come with it. Cardinal signs are good at that. They're the risk takers. They're the initiators. So they're maybe more adaptable to change than the fixed signs. The fixed signs are more about safety and security. So that's what I mean by that they're more of like a safe vibration or a safe energy or safe fixation, in that they are more in the middle of the season when the change has already taken place and now they're just doing the work. Um, sorry. So that's what comes to mind with the fixed signs. But once it really gets going, it will get going. It's kind of like when you buy a house, you know, and you're moving to a new place, you buy a house, and that's fine. You took all the risk that was needed to be taken, and now you have to do the interior designing, the decoration, painting and buying furniture, you know, all those details, the fixed signs are good with that. They will redo the walls, they will redo the floor, they will do the painting for hours and hours and hours, to get it just right, to get it just perfect. They have that energy and that consistency. So that's basically what fixed energy means. Um, but on the negative side, it's just that they're a little bit afraid of change. They might be also a little bit more stubborn. Um, um, and maybe also a little bit more slower in their processes, of doing things. But, it still gets done, it still gets there. Sometimes, what do they say? Um, just, run in your own lane and eventually you get there. Slow and steady gets you there. Kind of applies to the fixed signs. But I think that's all that I have to say or that comes to mind at this moment, when I think about the fixed qualities. Um, Please do share. Please do let me know if there's something that I forgot to mention or if there's something that you guys have experienced or that you guys are aware of if you are a fixed sign. And also if you're a fixed sign, please do share in the comment section which fixed sign you belong to. You belong to. It would be so cool to also know, how many Tauruses watched and how many Leos watched and how many Aquarians watched and how many Scorpios, watched. It would be so cool to see that. Um, yeah, thank you so much for taking time to listen to this podcast. Thank you for your support. Um, I hope that this format works for you. One reason why I like to do this podcast is that the whole idea is that you can listen to it while working or while driving or just, out in the park doing, walking or jogging or whatever. And it's also really fun for me. This is something that I'm really, really passionate about. I have studied quite a lot of it and still continue to study it. It's a big passion of mine. So I'm really enjoying the experience of sharing this with all of you, and also learning from all of you. It's a communal thing, it's a community thing. So I'm happy to give back also what I've learned and my own experiences with the signs and yeah. So if you have enjoyed this, please don't forget to like, and don't forget to subscribe if you liked it, and also feel free to hit the notification bell so that you know the next time that I upload something. So with that said, thank you once again. Really appreciate this. Means a lot to me, and I hope you have a good day. Ciao.